I've been cleaning office buildings for nearly 10 years, but nothing in those long, quiet nights prepared me for what happened that Friday in November. My name is Olivia Hart, and the night I found that wallet changed everything I thought I knew about my past, and about who I really was. It was 2:17 a.m. when I pushed my cart into the executive floor of the Winslow Tower in downtown Chicago. I liked that floor least of all. Everything was glass and marble, all shine and silence. You could hear your own breath echo back at you. People worked there who made more in an hour than I did in a week. But I didn't mind. The nights kept me sane after my divorce, after my mom's death, after the kind of heartbreak that doesn't scream. It just quietly drains you until you forget what joy feels like. I wasn't looking for anything that night. Just peace. Headphones in, Fleetwood Mac humming softly, mop gliding over the marble like a dance partner that never steps on your toes. But then the mop caught on something under the corner desk of Suite 2401, the CFO's office. When I bent down, I saw it. A brown leather wallet, thick and heavy, the expensive kind soft to the touch, initials EH pressed in gold. I almost set it aside to turn in later, but something about it, maybe the weight, maybe the faint scent of cologne and old paper, made me open it. Inside were 5 thick bands of $20 bills, crisp and new. $10,000 in cash, and tucked behind the money, a single folded piece of paper, yellowed at the edges. I unfolded it, expecting maybe a receipt or a note. It was an address written in delicate cursive. When Willow Creek Road, Evanston. My chest tightened. That address, that was the house I grew up in. The house we left when I was 11. The house my mother swore we'd never speak about again. For a full minute, I just sat there on the cold marble floor, staring at the paper as the hum of the air vents filled the silence. $10,000, and the address of a house I hadn't seen in 23 years. I should have just put the wallet in the lost and found box, logged it with building security, and gone back to my cart. But I didn't, because when life hands you something that smells like fate, you don't just walk away. I leaned back against the desk, the paper trembling in my hand, and for a moment I was 11 again, barefoot in that old living room, watching my mom pack boxes while she tried not to cry. "Some memories," she'd said, "are better left locked away, sweetheart." I never understood what she meant. Not until now. The initials in gold EH, they kept echoing in my head. E for Evanston. No, that made no sense. E for Evelyn. My mother's name was Evelyn Hart, but the handwriting on the note wasn't hers. It was a man's, sharp, careful, deliberate. I closed the wallet, my pulse racing. Maybe the cash was from some shady deal. Maybe it wasn't. But that address, my old address, wasn't a coincidence. It couldn't be. By the time my shift ended at 6 a.m., I'd convinced myself to take the wallet straight to building security. But at 6:15, I was sitting in my car instead, hands gripping the steering wheel, watching the sunrise spill orange light over the city skyline. And at 6:30, I was already driving north toward Evanston. The farther I drove, the harder my heart pounded. Every street I passed looked like a ghost from my childhood. The diner with the flickering neon sign, the park where my dad taught me to ride my bike. But I hadn't seen my father in over 20 years. He left before we moved, and every question I ever asked about him ended the same way. "Your father made his choices," Mom would say. "And we're safer without him." Now I wasn't so sure. When I pulled up to 327 Willow Creek Road, my breath caught. The house was still there, but it wasn't ours anymore. Fresh paint, new windows, manicured lawn, no rusted swing set, no overgrown ivy on the porch. It looked like a stranger wearing my childhood skin. For 10 minutes, I just sat in my car, staring. Then I killed the engine, grabbed the wallet, and walked up the path I hadn't stepped on since I was a kid. The gravel crunched beneath my shoes, and each sound felt like a heartbeat. When I reached the door, I hesitated. Knocking felt like stepping into a memory I wasn't sure I wanted back. But I knocked anyway. A few seconds passed. Then I heard footsteps. The door opened, and I swear my blood turned to ice. Standing in the doorway was a woman who looked exactly like me. Not similar, not a little. Exactly. Same eyes, same jawline, same scar on the chin from falling off my bike when I was 8. Her face went pale, and so did mine. We stared at each other like mirrors, trying to understand themselves. "Oh my God," she whispered. Her voice trembled. "Olivia?" My mouth went dry. "Who are you?" I managed. She gripped the doorframe, eyes glistening with tears. "I'm Eleanor," she said. "Your mother's sister. The one she told you died 23 years ago." The wallet slipped from my hand and hit the porch with a thud. $10,000 spilled across the wooden boards, fluttering like fallen leaves. And in that moment, I knew nothing about my life was what it seemed. For a moment, neither of us moved. The cash still fluttered on the porch between us, like it wanted to crawl back into the wallet and erase what had just happened. The morning light was thin and cold, and I swear I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. Eleanor, my dead aunt apparently, was the first to move. She stepped forward, voice trembling. "Come inside, Olivia. Please. You must be freezing." I followed her into the house that used to be mine, and every step felt like trespassing inside my own memories. The walls that were once painted sunflower yellow were now a soft gray. The scent of lavender candles replaced the cinnamon my mom used to burn in winter. But underneath it all, I could still smell home, that faint trace of lemon cleaner and old wood that never really goes away. She led me into the kitchen. Same layout, same window above the sink where Mom once stood washing dishes while singing old Bonnie Raitt songs. Only now the counters were granite, and the refrigerator didn't hum. It purred. Eleanor set 2 mugs on the table, her hands shaking. "Coffee?" I nodded, still trying to breathe like a normal person. When she sat down across from me, I finally found my voice. "My mom told me you died in a car accident when I was 11. She nodded slowly, eyes glistening. "I know. She told everyone that. Why?" Eleanor looked away, tracing the rim of her coffee cup with her thumb. "Because in a way I did die. The woman she knew, the sister she trusted, was gone." Her voice cracked. "And your father helped me disappear." I leaned forward. "My father? You mean Ethan?" She looked up sharply. "You remember his name?" "Barely. Mom never talked about him." Eleanor sighed. "She wouldn't. He asked her not to." That sentence hit like cold water. "What do you mean he asked her not to?" "He just left us." "No," she said quietly. "He was taken from you." The air in the kitchen felt heavier. Outside, a leaf blower started somewhere down the street. Ordinary life happening while mine rewrote itself. I forced a laugh, shaky and hollow. "Taken? That sounds dramatic." She didn't smile. "I wish it were." She reached for something on the counter, a folder so worn the edges had turned soft. When she opened it, a photo slid out and landed between us. It was a picture of my dad, younger than I remembered, standing beside a woman who looked exactly like my mother, except it wasn't her. It was Eleanor. "I don't understand," I whispered. Eleanor clasped her hands together, knuckles white. "Your father and I worked at the same company back then, Halden Biotech. We were researchers. He was brilliant, Olivia. Brilliant and reckless." She paused, taking a long breath. "He discovered something he wasn't supposed to. A formula that could erase digital data permanently. Government-level encryption destruction. It sounds boring, but imagine what that means for people with secrets to hide." She looked at me, eyes wide and tired. "He told the wrong person. They came after him. After both of us." I shook my head. "That's insane. My dad wasn't some spy. He fixed computers out of our garage." "That was after," she said softly. "After he vanished. After your mom helped him build a new identity. And when things got dangerous again, he made me take the fall." Her voice cracked on that last word, and for the first time, I saw how much she'd been holding in. "He faked my death," she said. "Your father staged a car crash, left behind enough evidence that the authorities, and your mother, believed I was gone. He thought it would keep me safe, and you just let him." Tears slid down her face. "I didn't have a choice. People were watching us. You and your mom were already targets. If anyone knew I was alive, they would have gone after you." I stood up, pacing the kitchen like the floor was burning. "This is impossible. My mom, she wouldn't lie to me like that." Eleanor's voice went quiet, almost a whisper. "She didn't have a choice either. Ethan made her promise to keep you away from him, away from me. He said it was the only way to keep you safe." I stopped pacing. Safe from who? She hesitated. The same people who sent me this last month. She slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a single Polaroid, a photo of me, taken from across the street, at my job. 2 weeks ago, I felt my stomach drop. Who took this? I don't know, she said, but I think your father's secret didn't stay buried. I sat back down, my hands trembling. $10,000. A wallet that belonged to someone with the initials E.H., Eleanor Hart, the address to this house. All of it leading me here. You dropped that wallet in my office building, didn't you? I asked. She blinked, confused. What? I found it in the Winslow Tower, under a desk on the top floor. $10,000 in cash and this address written on a note. The initials E.H. That's you. Eleanor stared at me like I'd spoken another language. I haven't been downtown in years, she whispered. And I've never owned a wallet like that. A chill crawled up my spine. If it wasn't yours, I said slowly, then whose was it? We both turned toward the living room at the same time. Through the half-closed blinds, a black sedan sat idling across the street. Eleanor's hand went to her mouth. They found us. The car didn't move, just sat there with its engine humming, low and patient, like a predator that had all the time in the world. Eleanor's breathing quickened. They've been watching the house for weeks, she said. I thought it was paranoia, but now, who are they? I whispered. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled the kitchen drawer open and grabbed a small black phone, the kind that looked 10 years too old to still work. Go to the back door, she said. Now, my legs didn't cooperate. It felt like I was frozen between the person I thought I was and whoever this nightmare wanted me to become, but something in her eyes, sharp, urgent, maternal, cut through the panic. I moved. We slipped through the mudroom and out into the yard. The grass was slick with dew, the air thick with the smell of rain on metal. Behind us, a soft click echoed from the front porch. A car door. They're coming in, I whispered. Eleanor led me to the side fence and pulled up a loose board. Go, she said. No, you come too. She shook her head. They don't want you. They want what your father built. I can buy you time. I'm not leaving you again. Her eyes softened. For the first time, she looked like the woman in my faintest childhood memory. The one who used to braid my hair and hum songs no one else knew. Olivia, sometimes loving someone means running so they can find you later. Before I could answer, the front door shattered. A voice yelled something I couldn't make out. Eleanor shoved me through the fence gap. Run! I stumbled into the neighbor's yard, fell, then crawled behind a hedge. From there, I saw 2 men in dark jackets storm the house. One of them carried a metal case. The other had a gun. I should have called the cops. But my body wouldn't move, my mind spinning with one word. Why? Then the house went dark. A minute later, one of the men came back out, speaking into a radio. Nothing here. She's gone. They got into the car and drove off, leaving tire marks on the wet pavement. For a long time, I stayed there, shaking. When I finally crept back toward the fence, the house was silent. The door hung open, swinging gently in the wind. Inside, everything was overturned. Drawers ripped out, cabinets emptied. No sign of Eleanor. But on the kitchen table, something waited for me. The same black phone she'd grabbed earlier. It buzzed once. I stared at it, heart pounding. The screen lit up. A single text message, "Run to where he left you." I read it 3 times before it clicked. He left me. He left me at the motel. When my dad disappeared, I was 10. We'd been staying at a roadside motel off Highway 9, because Mom said the pipes burst at home. One morning, he left to get breakfast. He never came back. That was the last place I saw him alive. And now, someone or something was telling me to go back there. I drove all night. The motel looked exactly the same. Paint peeling, vacancy sign flickering, air humming with bugs and memories. The same manager was at the desk, his hair grayer but his voice unchanged. Been a while since I've seen one of the hearts, he said, handing me a key. Room 12 like old times. I froze. I didn't tell you my name. He just smiled, eyes tired. Didn't have to. Room 12 was at the end of the hall. Inside, everything smelled of mildew and forgotten years. But the bedspread, different color, newer, hid something underneath. A small box, wrapped in a faded towel. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were 3 things: a thumb drive, a folded piece of paper, and a photograph. The photo showed my parents holding me as a baby, but standing next to them, half hidden behind my dad, was Eleanor. On the back, a single line written in my father's handwriting. "If she finds this, tell her I did it for her." The folded paper was a note, old, stained, the ink faded. "Olivia, if you're reading this, it means I failed to keep my promise. What I created wasn't meant for power. It was meant for protection. They took it anyway. Don't trust anyone connected to Halden. Don't go to the police. There's a man who can help you. His name is Marcus Cole. He owes me his life. Show him the drive." I turned the flash drive over in my hand. There were no markings, no labels, just that small metallic weight that suddenly felt heavier than everything I'd carried until now. Outside, thunder cracked. I looked out the window just in time to see headlights sweep across the parking lot, the same black sedan. I killed the lights and dropped to the floor, clutching the drive to my chest. Whoever these people were, they weren't going to stop. I remembered the text. "Run to where he left you." I had. "Now what?" The phone buzzed again. Another message. "He left more than you think." Then, a photo came through. It was me, standing in that very motel room, taken from outside the window. The photo on my phone wouldn't stop shaking in my hands. It was me, right now, taken through the cracked blinds. Whoever was out there could see every move I made. I dropped the phone on the carpet and crawled to the wall, heart slamming against my ribs. Rain battered the glass. Thunder swallowed the sound of tires sliding into the parking lot. The black sedan stopped 2 doors down. I needed an exit. The bathroom window was small, but the latch gave after one shove. Cold air rushed in as I crawled through and landed hard in a puddle behind the building. Somewhere inside, the door to my room burst open. Voices. 2 men. One calm, one angry. "She's gone. Find the drive, now." I didn't wait to hear the rest. I ran, through the alley, across the cracked asphalt, into the woods that bordered the motel. Branches clawed my arms, mud soaked my sneakers, but I kept going until the glow of headlights vanished behind the trees. When I finally stopped, I collapsed beneath a billboard half swallowed by vines. My phone buzzed again. Another message, from the same number as before. "Marcus is in Chicago. Train leaves at dawn." I stared at it, half expecting the words to change. Whoever sent that knew everything. The motel, the flash drive, even my next move. Maybe it was Eleanor. Maybe she was still alive. By sunrise, I was on the 6:10 a.m. train heading north, wrapped in a borrowed jacket that smelled like someone else's life. The flash drive never left my hand. Chicago blurred past the window, gray towers, wet streets, the city waking up without me. At Union Station, I followed the address the message included. Halstead and Pierce, Cole and Associates, private security. The office was on the 5th floor of a building that looked abandoned. The door had no sign, just a small brass plaque with the initials MCI knocked. A man opened it. Mid-50s, tired eyes, scar on his temple. "Olivia Hart," he said like it wasn't a question. I froze. "How do you—" "Your father warned me you'd come one day." The room smelled of coffee and gun oil. Maps and photos covered the walls. Faces, blueprints, newspaper clippings. He motioned me inside. "I don't have much time," I said. "They're following me. I need to know what this is." I set the flash drive on the table. Marcus stared at it for a long moment, then sighed. "Your father didn't invent a product, Olivia. He built a formula, a data algorithm that could track financial crimes before they happened. He offered it to the government. They refused. A private company called Halden Industries wanted it instead. When your dad realized they'd use it to manipulate markets, he tried to destroy it. And that's why he disappeared?" "He didn't disappear." Marcus looked at me, voice dropping. "They made him vanish. Eleanor helped him fake his death so you'd be safe." The air left my lungs. "My mother's alive? She's been protecting you from Halden for years. That wallet, you finding it, was her way of forcing this into motion. She knew they'd trace it back to her, and that you'd come looking. Everything inside me twisted. She sacrificed herself to bring me here. Marcus nodded. Because only you can unlock the drive. Your father coded it with your DNA. He handed me a small portable computer. Plug it in. I did. A single folder appeared, Project Heart inside a video file. I clicked play. My father's face filled the screen. Older, tired, filmed in some hidden room. Liv, he said, voice trembling. If you're watching this, I didn't make it. What's on this drive can ruin powerful men. Don't sell it. Don't destroy it. Deliver it to the Bureau's Integrity Unit, Agent Ramirez Quantico. She's the only one I trust. And tell your mother I kept my promise. The screen went black. I sat there shaking, tears hot on my face. Marcus put a hand on my shoulder. You have a choice now. Run or finish what he started. Before I could answer, glass shattered behind us. Bullets tore through the window. Marcus pulled me to the floor. They found us. We crawled toward the back door as another volley hit the wall. He handed me the drive. Take it and go. There's a fire escape. I'm not leaving you. He shoved me toward the exit. You're your father's daughter. Act like it. I burst onto the metal stairs and climbed down 2 floors before the explosion hit. Heat, smoke, glass raining like stars. When I looked up, the office was a burning silhouette against the sky. Marcus was gone. I stumbled into the alley, coughing, gripping the drive so tightly it cut into my palm. Sirens wailed somewhere in the distance, and through the smoke, a black sedan slowed at the corner. But this time, I didn't run. I ducked behind a dumpster and watched a figure step out of the car. Tall, wearing a hood. When the wind shifted, I saw her face, Eleanor, alive. She looked directly toward where I hid and whispered something I could barely read on her lips. Finish it. Then she turned, got back in the car, and vanished into the rising smoke. The world slowed after the explosion. Smoke hung over Chicago like a bruise. Every step I took away from that burning office felt heavier, like the air itself didn't want me to leave. The flash drive was still in my hand, warm from the fire. I knew what it meant now. It wasn't just data. It was a map of corruption. Names, accounts, transactions, proof that the same company that killed my father had been manipulating entire economies for decades. Halden Industries had its hands in everything. And if I disappeared now, their secrets would stay buried. I ducked into an old diner off Canal Street and slid into a booth by the window. The waitress didn't even look at me, just poured coffee into a chipped mug and walked away. It was early morning, but I felt centuries older. My phone buzzed. A blocked number. We can protect you, Olivia. Turn yourself in. It wasn't Eleanor. It was them. Halden. I typed back before I could stop myself. Not this time. The reply came instantly. Then you'll end up like your parents. My hands tightened around the phone until my knuckles turned white. I'd been running since the night I found that wallet, running from questions, from ghosts, from a truth my family had died to keep safe. Not anymore. By noon, I was standing outside the federal building on Dearborn. The rain had stopped, leaving the pavement slick and shining like glass. I walked up to security, clutching the flash drive. I need to see Agent Ramirez, I said. They stared for a moment, then waved me through. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in a sterile conference room under fluorescent lights. A woman in her 40s entered, sharp eyes, no smile. Agent Ramirez, she said, closing the door behind her. You must be Olivia Hart, I nodded. My father sent this. Her gaze shifted to the drive in my hand, and something in her expression softened. We've been waiting a long time for that, she said quietly. She plugged it into her laptop. Lines of code filled the screen, then decrypted files began to appear. Bank ledgers, offshore accounts, encrypted communications. Halden Industries, CEOs, senators, judges, every name a betrayal. Ramirez exhaled. Your father was right. This will change everything. But then her phone buzzed. She answered, listened for a moment, and her face drained of color. They know you're here, she whispered. We need to move now. Before I could respond, alarms went off. The glass walls of the building trembled as black SUVs screeched to a stop outside. Ramirez grabbed my hand. This way. We raced down a side corridor, through a stairwell, past shouting voices and echoing boots. Somewhere behind us, gunfire erupted. On the third floor, Ramirez shoved a keycard into a door marked Records. Inside was a narrow tunnel leading to a maintenance exit. Go, she said. You can't be here when this goes public. What about you? She smiled faintly. I'll make sure the story gets out. Your job is to live, I wanted to argue, but the look in her eyes stopped me. It was the same look my father had in the video. Resigned. Certain, brave, I ran. By the time the story broke, I was halfway to Colorado under a new name. Every news channel played the same headline. Halden Industries executives arrested in multi-billion-dollar fraud scandal. My father's algorithm had done what he built it to do, expose the rot before it could grow deeper. He'd changed the world even in death, and Eleanor, she finally called. Her voice was weak but alive. They won't find me, Liv, but I'll always find you. Where are you? I asked, tears already falling. Somewhere safer than before, she said. Promise me you'll stop running. I will, I whispered. I promise. The line went dead. It's been 6 months. I still clean offices at night. Different city, same hum of fluorescent lights, same cart full of supplies. But now, every time I swipe my mop across the tile, I think about how everything started with a wallet, a simple act of honesty that uncovered everything I didn't know I'd lost. Sometimes, when the building is quiet, I imagine my parents walking beside me, Dad humming off-key, Mom laughing softly at his terrible rhythm. I keep their picture in my pocket. Next to the locket, Eleanor left me in the motel room after the fire. Inside it are 2 words etched into silver. Stay honest. And I finally understand what that means. It's not about money. It's not even about justice. It's about doing the right thing when no one's watching. Because someone always is. Last night, I found another wallet in an empty hallway. This time I didn't hesitate. I returned it before the owner even noticed it was gone. He smiled and said, "You didn't have to do that." I smiled back. "Yes," I said quietly. "I did. If you're watching this, remember, sometimes the smallest choice can change everything. Sometimes a lost wallet is more than a coincidence. Sometimes it's the universe handing you a second chance. And if you ever find yourself standing at that crossroads, choose honesty. Choose courage. Choose to finish what someone else started, because you never know who might be watching, or how that choice might save your life."